I used to believe that when a relationship ends, it ends. That distance creates closure. That silence means freedom. But with a narcissist, endings are never clean. They are postponed, rewritten, reactivated. Just when you think you have escaped, they reappear, not with anger, but with nostalgia, regret, promises, or sudden affection. And you are left wondering, why now? Why after everything? He thought he understood his mind, but what he didn't know was that a resource existed that could help him rebuild his life. You'll find it in the description and comments. At the time, I didn't know there was a name for what I was experiencing. I only knew that every time I tried to move on, something pulled me back. The first time it happened, I thought it was coincidence. A message after weeks of silence. A casual, I was thinking about you. A memory shared as if nothing had ever broken between us. My heart reacted before my mind could catch up. There was familiarity. There was emotional gravity. There was that dangerous thought, maybe they've changed. That is how hoovering begins, not with control, but with hope. Hoovering is not about reconciliation. It is about reattachment. It is the narcissist's attempt to pull you back into their emotional orbit once they feel you slipping away. They do not return because they miss you as a person. They return because they miss access to you, your attention, your empathy, your emotional energy, your availability. And they know exactly which version of themselves will make you hesitate. The apologetic one, the vulnerable one, the loving one. When he came back, the words were different, but the pattern was the same. I've been working on myself. I finally understand what I did wrong. No one knows me like you. I just need one more chance. And for a moment, I wanted to believe it, because part of healing is wanting meaning from pain, wanting the story to end in growth instead of damage. But beneath those words, there was something unchanged. The absence of accountability, the lack of consistent action, the quiet expectation that I would open the door simply because they knocked. The second time, it was subtler. A like on a photo, a reaction to a story, a reminder that they were still watching, still present, still capable of reaching into my emotional space without permission. That is another form of hoovering, indirect contact designed to awaken curiosity, nostalgia, or doubt. Not enough to seem intrusive, just enough to reopen the wound. I noticed how my body reacted before my logic did. My chest tightened. My thoughts spiraled. Old questions returned. Was I too harsh? Did I misunderstand? What if they really have changed? Hoovering does not attack your boundaries directly. It attacks your emotional memory. It reminds you of what once felt real, even if it was built on illusion. And when your nervous system remembers connection before it remembers pain, you become vulnerable again. The breaking point came. I finally asked myself a different question. If they truly respected me, why did they only reach out once I was gone? Why not when I was hurting? Why not when I asked for change? Why only when I was no longer available? And in that clarity, I saw the truth. The return was not about love. It was about loss of control. I began learning about the psychology behind hoovering, how narcissistic dynamics are not built on mutual attachment, but on supply, emotional attention, validation, admiration, or reaction. When that supply disappears, the narcissist feels the loss as a threat to their identity. And so they return not to repair, but to reestablish the flow, not to heal, but to rebind. And once you are emotionally re-engaged, the old patterns quietly resume. Defending myself required something I had never practiced before. Emotional finality, not anger, not confrontation, but clarity. I stopped responding to messages designed to reopen the past. I refused conversations framed in nostalgia instead of accountability. I reminded myself that changed behavior is consistent, not dramatic. That real remorse does not appear only when access is lost, and slowly the pull weakened. There were moments of doubt, moments of loneliness, Moments when silence felt heavier than connection. But I also felt something I hadn't felt in a long time: internal stability. My mind was no longer reacting to someone else's emotional agenda. My energy was no longer being summoned on demand. I was choosing where my attention lived. Rebuilding after hoovering is not just about distance from another person. It is about reprogramming your emotional reflexes. I had to learn that missing someone does not mean they were good for me, that longing does not equal safety, that familiarity is not the same as respect. I asked myself painful questions. Why did I confuse intensity with intimacy? Why did I believe closure required their participation? Why did I doubt my own boundaries when they returned? And instead of blaming myself, I chose understanding. Because hoovering does not succeed through force. It succeeds through emotional memory. Today, I understand why the narcissist always tries to come back. Not because you were irreplaceable as a person, but because you were reliable as a source of validation, of attention, of emotional regulation. And when that source disappears, they seek to restore it. But knowing this changes everything, because once you see the pattern, you stop romanticizing the return. At the end of his journey, he discovered guidance and a resource that helped him face anxiety and rebuild his life. You can access it too. The link is in the description and comments. Healing is not about resisting someone else. It is about choosing yourself without negotiation. It is about learning that no explanation, no apology, no memory is worth reopening a door that once cost you your peace. And when you finally stop answering the call of manipulation, something extraordinary happens. Your mind becomes your own again. True freedom begins in the mind and only then appears in life. If this story resonated with you, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and continue this journey with us as we uncover toxic minds and rebuild stronger ones together.